So this was a truck video I had hoped I would never have to make. We are in our F350 with the Godzilla 7.3, and we bought this truck. If you're new to the channel, we bought this truck because we had trouble with our Ford Super Duty with the Power Stroke diesel. Seemed like every time we needed to tow, every time we needed to go on a trip, something would go wrong. We put a lot of money into that truck. We loved a lot of things about that truck, but it just wasn't dependable for our towing and summer vacations and stuff like that. So here we are in our new to us F350 with the Godzilla engine. We've had it for 1 year. We are just beyond the 12-month bumper to bumper, everything's covered, Ford Blue Oval Gold certified warranty, but we're still within the 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. We are at camp this week, and we took a slow loop around camp last night with Olive in the truck because she's not well enough to walk around the camp loops right now, so we put the windows down. She enjoyed driving around and seeing everybody. But I noticed last night, and I said to Jennifer, it seems like it can't choose a gear, so it would have trouble, like, you know, we're going at slow speeds, 10 mile an hour, and it would speed way up, shift into third gear. I'd touch the brakes, it would slow way down. And I thought, well, maybe it's just because we're going so slow in the campground and it can't figure out my driving pattern. So I didn't think that much of it last night, other than saying to Jennifer, seems like it can't find the right gear. So then today, we had to go out and get gas for the generator, run some errands, get back to camp, go back into the site, put the transmission into reverse. The screen goes blank over here, shows me a display of like a truck with sensors, the backup sensors, but no picture, which I thought was strange. Immediately, I get a wrench in my display, in my driver display, and push the gas and nothing happens in reverse. We sit perfectly still, almost like we were in neutral. So with that wrench light being on, I thought, oh, this probably isn't good. I shifted it to drive. I thought maybe there's just a glitch. Shifted it to drive, let off the brake, nothing happened, almost like we were in neutral. Touched the gas pedal just a tiny bit, and we took off like we had been power braking there for a second. So tried reverse one more time, still nothing was happening. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I thought I better get on the phone with AAA to have this towed somewhere, and with a Ford dealership that has the ability to look at the transmission. I know that this 10-speed transmission has been problematic for some people. So if you've watched the last several months, I was slightly worried about the 7.3 Godzilla engine because of the cam and lifter failure stories I've heard. But I've kind of put that aside. We're gonna just keep changing the oil at shorter increments. Now we're having some type of transmission issue. So we were in the truck trying to figure out what to do with it. Called a couple dealerships. One of the dealerships who does a great job, they're known in the whole western Pennsylvania area as the place to take your Super Duty truck or heavy duty truck if it needs engine, transmission, anything like that, any type of work with the powertrain. Called them and they said, hey, we'd really like to help you out. And they've done a lot of work on our vehicles in the past. They said, but we're 6 weeks out with our transmission tech and it sounds like a transmission issue. So they wouldn't even get a chance to look at it. We've got to pull our camper out on Sunday. So we are just 3 days away from needing to hook up fifth wheel to our camper, pull out of the campsite we're in to head home. So Jennifer and I were trying to figure out what to do. I went to the boat ramp parking area. I thought I need somewhere to park that I don't need to back into, that a flatbed can come and pick this truck up. A crew cab with an 8-foot bed is going to have to be on a flatbed that's pretty long, and it needs to be somewhere that a flatbed can back into, hook onto this, yank up onto the flatbed, and then drive away. So I found, you know, the parking area of the boat launch to be the best place. Pulled into a spot with lots of room in front of me so that the flatbed could hook up. Decided to, this whole time I'm thinking I should shoot a video on this. I should show what's happening when I put it in reverse, show the screen, show the wrench light, give you the feel of what happens when I put it in drive, but I didn't do that. Instead, I turned the truck off. I was still on the phone with the dealerships. So the main one I wanted to take it to was 6 weeks out. Tried a couple other ones in Ohio that are also known for repair of these Super Duty trucks, and they're like, boy, we're gonna have to take a look at it. It's hard to say what it is, but it doesn't sound good.
And they would be a couple hours away from home.
And they'd be a couple hours away from home. And again, we need this truck on Sunday to hook up to the camper and get home. And so I thought, well, I'll just give it a try here. Oh, the other thing that happened was I got an alert on my phone that from the Ford Connect app, the Ford Pass app, and it said your truck needs service, there's a powertrain issue, and it gave a little button to find the local dealer. Like, don't even drive it, just hit this button, find the dealership, get it to get serviced. Well, I decided in that boat lane at the boat launch to turn the truck off, let it sit for a minute, reset itself, turn the key on, the little wrench light went away, started it up, put it in drive, and it would go forward, put it in reverse, the screen came on with the rear view camera, which hadn't come on before, and we were able to drive in reverse. So now, here we are, about 3 hours later. The truck's been sitting still. Wanted to take it on a little test drive here to see if everything's acting normal. My plan is, the local dealership close to our house, I called them and they said, hey, you're on the Ford Connect app. We can easily remotely connect to the computer of your truck, just kind of figure out what error code came up yesterday and try to figure out what happened. So tomorrow they're going to do that. They're going to connect remotely to our truck, read that code, see if they can figure out what went wrong. But driving it tonight will give us another chance to make sure that that doesn't happen while we're driving. And then tomorrow we'll know more when I talk to the service team at the local Ford dealership when they are able to connect remotely. But that was kind of a scary thing with, you know, a new to us truck that we bought specifically for camping and towing the boats and to not have the worries.
And we bought it specifically because our 17-year-old truck, I mean, in the 17 years it gave us a lot of trouble, but just in general, we were tired of every time we went on a towing trip having some type of issue that we had to work with and figure out what to do with the camper, what dealership to take it to, how long it's going to be. So, and
that's a little bit of a downside to the fifth wheel is, you know, my dad has a Super Duty truck with a bumper tow camper, but when you have a fifth wheel and all fifth wheel hitches are a little bit different, there's different types of them. It's hard when your truck breaks down to figure out what you're going to do with your camper that's stuck in a campsite or stuck along the side of the road. It's not quite as easy as just calling dad and saying, hey, can you bring the truck over, hook up to the camper, we're having truck problems. So
because the last time it was like a 7 to 10 hour fiasco of trying to find someone to come and get the camper.
Yep. And we ended up finding a tow company that was hours away that came down with a tilt bed truck with a special connection that allowed that tilt bed to connect to a fifth wheel hitch and tow the camper for us. So yeah, this is our little test drive here, but I wanted to, while it was fresh in my mind, get those details down of what happened with this truck just today with the 10-speed transmission. And like I said, I follow some other people that have had transmission issues with this truck. In fact, a YouTube creator friend of mine had 3 transmissions in his Super Duty with the Godzilla engine before he ended up getting rid of the Ford truck altogether and going with another brand. So hopefully this was just a fluke thing. My plan is to keep driving it these next couple days to make sure it's going to work for us, see what the Ford dealership says tomorrow, hopefully get the truck and the camper home on Sunday, then we can worry about if it needs some type of repair. But so far, fingers crossed, it's doing okay on this test drive. All right, so Jennifer refused during our errands to let me try reverse, so I had to find big parking lots to do loops anytime we had to stop.
You always make me seem like such a villain when really I'm just the voice of reason. I didn't want to be out somewhere and then put in reverse and then us be in a jam and not have a way to get back, and we have Olive.
So we are back at camp. This will be our first time trying reverse. Now remember, last time what happened was, as soon as I put it in reverse, the wrench light came on here. This screen showed a picture of our truck with the backup sensors, like radar, but no backup camera. And there was no reverse, so let's give it a try here. We got camera, we got no wrench light, and we have reverse. So all good signs. So as far as next steps, talk to the dealership tomorrow and see what their computer connection tells them. But what do you think, Jennifer? I think my plan is just get it home with the camper on Sunday and then worry about whatever we need to worry about.
Hopefully.
So we'll keep you posted tomorrow after the dealership connects via remote connection to our truck. So I wanted to give you a quick little update after talking to the Ford dealership yesterday that connected remotely to our F350 for diagnostics. You can see the truck is still at camp here. We have not moved the fifth wheel trailer, and let me show you what I'm seeing inside the truck when I turn it on. Give you a view of the display here. Put the key in. Start it up. No wrench light. By the way, if you're wondering, 1,557 miles of towing, what our new mileage average is, it is 12.6. Now that's a lot of idle time because Olive is sick and she rides with us in the truck just about everywhere we go. When we leave her, we leave the truck running for the air conditioning. But let me show you here. We'll go ahead and put the transmission in reverse. Turn that park aid sensor off. We've got our screen. You can see the campsite there behind us. And everything appears to be working normal. Switch back to drive. I get all my gears visible right here in the lineup. So what did the dealership say? We'll shut this off and I'll tell you about it. So through the magic of today's technology, even from over 60 miles away, our dealership was able to remotely connect and diagnose what the computer was saying in our F350. Now remember, this is the Godzilla engine with the 10-speed transmission, F350 Super Duty crew cab long bed. We've had this for just about 1 year. We have a 1-year update video we'll be sharing with you shortly. But when they connected, they saw exactly what the Ford Pass app told me. They asked if I was driving in 4-wheel drive. I said no, I was not. And they said, well, it was just some type of a transmission issue then. There are some TSBs, which are technical service bulletins, that he said, the service manager said he'd like to take a look at the truck once we're back from camp. He said go ahead and drive it around a couple days here before we have to leave camp. Make sure it's still functioning okay, which it has been. We've driven it now for 2 days, ran some errands each day. It has shifted into reverse normally, driven in forward and drive through all the gears pretty normally. It's a little clunky, I noticed, but I've always noticed it's a little clunky, so not really any significant change there. Like I said in the video, the night before we had our issue, we did drive really slow around the entire campground, and it was having trouble selecting gears first, second, or third to maintain a speed of about 10 miles an hour. And there's speed bumps and going slow through a campground. We had some issues with that gear selection. But the Ford service manager said go ahead and drive it, hook up to the camper on Sunday when it's time to go home, drive it home, and if we have any trouble, try the turn it off, turn it back on, see if that clears that wrench light or any transmission error. And if it doesn't, he said the next thing to do if you're stranded on the side of the road is disconnect the battery, which in our case would be 2 batteries because we have the dual battery system. So we'd want to disconnect both batteries for a couple minutes, reconnect them, and see if that cleared the issue for us. So we will try that on Sunday, but I will say it's a little nerve-wracking to think that we could be towing this fifth wheel, 12,500 pound trailer and break down. We have had that happen before, not with this truck, but with our Power Stroke several times. And the issue always is, even though we're AAA RV Plus, it is difficult to find a company that can tow, first of all, a long bed crew cab F350 truck. It has to be on a flatbed. But second of all, one that has the capability to bring a truck with a fifth wheel hitch to tow our camper back home. So that is a stressful thing when you know that you've got to hook up and drive over 60 miles in a truck that maybe the transmission's not acting quite right to get home our rig here for the end of our camping vacation. So if you'd like to keep up with more real time how this works out for us, make sure you're following us on Instagram and Facebook. That's Purple Color Life on both Instagram and Facebook. You can kind of get more up-to-date real-time updates on things going on in our life on both of those platforms. We do publish these videos to YouTube pretty regularly, but it's a little bit more real-time if you follow us, just individual posts on Facebook and Instagram. Wish us luck as we enjoy the last day at camp here before we hook up tomorrow and really test the 10-speed transmission in this truck that has given us now that wrench light and an error and no reverse once in the past. Leave a comment down below if you've got the 10-speed transmission in your Ford or even your GM, because they are the basic architecture the same in both GM and Ford trucks with that 10-speed, and you've had any issues like we've had. I've been doing some reading online, and it's not totally uncommon to have this where a gear, or specifically reverse, does not work when you try to use it, but it seems that disconnecting the battery and shutting off and turning back on the truck will solve it temporarily. In most cases, what ends up happening is there is service needed to the transmission. In some cases, that has resulted in just some of the valves being replaced, and in other cases, it has resulted in entirely rebuilt transmission or replaced transmission. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative or entertaining, please give us a big thumbs up down below. Click that subscribe button if you're not already following us here on Purple Color Life, and we'll see you again the next time.